Hi everybody. So what I have for you today is a short video about how to start engaging and inviting. So this is another document that I've drawn up with explanations, and it's in our files section of our page. So if you haven't already printed that out or pulled it up on your computer, hit pause, go find that, get it, in front of you so you can follow along as I go through. So again, this is about engaging and inviting. And I touched on some of this in the daily and weekly tracker video because these are the things that you're doing. And then this training is just sort of breaking out a little bit and giving you a little bit more detail into what that actually looks like. So the first thing that you have to start doing and get into a habit on a regular basis is adding to your network. So that means adding friends. So I don't mean just clicking add friend 25 times. You need to actually have 25 people accept your friend request. So I don't necessarily keep track of how many people I friend. I only keep track of how many people have actually accepted my friend request. So what I do is I actually look at like my total friends or my total followers and see how that is changing each week. Because you want your network to keep growing, because as you go through your warm market, like your friends and family, you need to keep like adding to that. So some ways that I do that is when I first started, I just went through and I started adding everybody from high school, everybody that I could find from college. I would go through friends of friends lists and just add people. So just like, because I was not active on Facebook at all, I didn't have a lot of friends on Facebook. So I just had to just start throwing everybody in there. And then the other thing that I do right now is just yesterday or the day before, I went into someone's post who was posting about her pregnancy, and I saw that 3 other moms were like, oh yes, this happened to me too. Or these were other moms talking about their pregnancy journey. So I friended them too, because why not? It doesn't hurt anything to just throw it out there. These people are on social media to make connections. People want attention when they're posting on social media. So you're just giving them what they already want, is how I look at it. So don't feel weird, don't feel like you're bothering people. If they are on social media, it's because they want people looking at their content. Otherwise they would just keep it to themselves. For me, before I was active on Facebook, when I would take pictures, I would just send them to my parents. I didn't want the attention, I didn't need the attention, so I didn't put it on Facebook. Now I'm trying to get my message out there, so I'm putting it on Facebook. I want people looking at it, I want people friending me. And so anybody that's putting their content out there, no matter what it is, they want people to interact with them. So that's the biggest roadblock to get over for some people. So actually, put yourself out there for people. Let's see. You also want to think about your avatar, and if you haven't gotten much into your avatar yet, I will do a training on that in the next couple of weeks. But there are some on Team TNT, so feel free to look at those. But basically your avatar is looking at who you are trying to market to. You're not trying to market to everyone. You're trying to market only to the people that you want to work with. So you really want to be looking at people's pictures. You don't really need to spend too much time going actually into their profile to figure out how closely they match your avatar. But you want to at least look at their profile picture and get a snapshot of if they even match your avatar. If it's not someone based on their picture that you want to work with, don't even bother friending them. You are building a business right now, and that's really what you want to think about. So that's adding to your network, and this is something that you just need to get in the habit of. You can do this weekly or you can do it daily. I tend to do it daily. I just kind of do it here and there, but if I get to the end of the week and I haven't hit my 25 goal for the week, then I will ramp it up. So I kind of do it daily / weekly, depending on how things have gone. The next thing is, so now you're friending people. What do you do if they accept your friend request? So you don't just ignore them. So Facebook will notify you when you get when someone accepts your friend request. And so what I do is I will go into their page and I will like a couple of things on their posts on their page. If there's someone who only shares, like some people don't ever post anything of their own, they just share other people's stuff. That's a little bit harder for me. I try to find something that I can relate to and I like it. If they're actually posting pictures of things, then like comment on it, ask them questions about it. Remember that when you're commenting, as much as you can actually ask a question, that's better. So if they post a picture and they're like at this beautiful place, don't just say, oh wow, this looks so fun. Say, wow, this looks so fun. Where did you go? Where is this place? Like, actually ask a question, because then they're going to see your comment and have to respond to it, as opposed to just saying, oh, look at that. You know what I mean? So always asking questions when you're interacting with people to just keep the dialogue going. Always, always, always asking questions. So go to their page, like a couple of their posts. If you feel comfortable, you can even follow up right as they friend you with a message. So sometimes I will send a message like, oh, I saw that we have quite a few friends in common. My son's also looks like about your son's age. Hope you're having a great day. Like, just something very, low key. In this specific training, on the second and third page, I actually showed you like this whole conversation that I had with someone to give you ideas. And what I did was, this was someone who had been liking my posts recently, which I'll get into soon. And the way I broke the ice with her is I sent her a message. I had been liking her posts here and there, but then I sent her a message and I said, hey, thanks for liking my posts. I actually went to high school with your brother. Your kids are beautiful. I didn't even know this girl. She's several years older than me. I've never met her in my life, but I was just like showing her like the connection of, I went to school with your brother. Your kids are great. Like, just little things like that. Let's see. Send them a message. Again, like, this is where I talked to you about this in the previous training. Don't talk about yourself the first time you message someone. So this is all about them. You are trying to get to know them. You are not messaging them to sell your product or your program. You are just connecting with them. So you may, like, sometimes if they start responding back and they say like, oh, what are you up to? I'll say, oh, I'm doing great. Like, my kids are busy. I just started health coaching. I'm really loving it. But like, that's the only way I'll say it, is if like we're in a conversation. I don't just throw it out there with people. Don't be afraid when someone accepts your friend request to go to their page and comment on their stuff. Again, they have accepted your friend request. They are saying, yes, I want to connect with you. So don't be afraid to go on and start engaging on their posts. That's literally what social media is for. A lot of us who are starting this coaching thing, recently at least, none of us were super active on Facebook, so this is a little bit outside our comfort zone, but this is what people do. This is what social media is for, so just use it. You're trying to build a business, use what is there for you. And then again, like, just send that message and then leave it alone. I like to just start that initial connection to draw them maybe to my page, maybe draw them to my stories, but then that's it. I send them one message, I like a couple of posts, and then I leave it alone. The next part that I go into is using your stories and your posts to bridge the gap to start inviting. So you start increasing your network, you start connecting with people as they start following you, and then you use your stories and your posts to actually see who's interested. So plenty of the people that you friend are already going to be in a good workout program. They're already going to be good with their nutrition, at least right now. That might change in a year, so it's still worth it making connections with them. But right now, they might just like friend you, and maybe they're never even on Facebook, so they don't even like look at your content. So I don't want to worry about people who aren't interested in what I'm doing. I post stories and posts every day, and then the amazing thing about Facebook is you can see who's interested. So on your stories, hopefully you figured this out already, but if not, when you pull up a story, in the bottom left hand story of your stories, it'll say how many people have viewed your story. You can click on that. It opens up a list of people who looked at your stories. So what I do is I glance through that a couple of times a day. I just try to get a sense of who's actually caring about my stories. And then you start to see repetitions and patterns. You see people who are looking at your stories day after day after day after day. They are doing that, like they have to click it. It's not just happening to them. They have to click your story. So that is them telling you, I am interested in what you're doing. I am seeking it out. I want more of what you're doing. So they are telling you by liking your posts, by commenting, by looking at your stories, they are telling you that they like what you're doing. So I use my stories and the people who like my posts, so my viewers of my stories and the people who like and comment on my posts, as my leads for who I actually then start to invite. So what I do is I pick a few people. I try to do this every day, but I definitely try to do it every week and like hit my goal. Is I send them a message and I just say something very basic like, hey, I noticed you've had a chance to see my posts or my stories about my health and fitness journey. I've been having such an amazing time. I love sharing it with people. If you have any questions, I would love to chat with you about your own personal goals. That's what I say. So this is what I'm doing. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. I'd love to chat with you about your own goals when you have a chance. Something basic. I have a script that I follow, that I do from time to time. I'm just going to go inside because the mail's coming. I don't know if they're coming up here, but I feel weird talking while the mail's coming to my house. So I have a script that I just copy and paste and change the name of. Always personalize it a little bit with at least their name, so that they feel like it's not just like this, email, like message blast. So then again, like plenty of people don't respond to me. I don't care about the people who don't respond to me. We are all moms. Most of the people, like your avatar is probably also moms with young kids. That's the season of life we're in. Like how many times have someone messaged you and you've just forgotten, right? Like that's just life. It just happens. So if someone doesn't respond to your message, don't even worry about it. That is why like we have a goal to like message or invite a certain amount of people a week. I try to invite like 15 people a week, and my goal is that I want to sign 1 or 2 a week. So I'm not expecting every single person I message to want to sign up with me. So don't have that expectation, and don't feel like if someone doesn't respond that they're annoyed by you or they feel like you're bugging them. Like they probably were just like, oh, nope, I don't need this right now. And they probably had a million things going on at the time that they read your message. They didn't have time to respond. And like sometimes I will get someone to respond to me like a week later. And they're like, so sorry I never responded to this. Life was crazy. I would love to know more. That happens sometimes. So don't take it personally if you don't get a response. Just keep doing what you're doing and plugging along, and you will start to see results from this. So the next thing is if someone responds, so like what typically happens is I will like, for people that I get responses from, is I say that thing like, thank you for, I noticed you've been following my stories. I would love to talk to you about your goals. They respond back, if they respond, with something like, yes, I've been loving your stories. They're super motivating. I'm really trying, like, I really want to get back into focusing on myself. So then again, this is all about the slow play. It's all about building connections, because if you want to be an effective coach to this person, if they eventually sign with you, if you want to be effective, you need to know who they are. A lot of times now, the people that I'm talking to, I've never even met them. I don't know anything about these people. So I have to use this opportunity to get to know them. Do you have kids? Are you working? Are you exercising right now? What are you currently doing with nutrition? I ask all of these questions before I ever even talk about anything I have to offer, because how do I know that I can even offer something that they're looking for if I don't ask them their questions? I don't want to work with every single person. I only want to work with the people who meet my avatar and who I think I can be successful with. So use this as a screening process too. Um, so sometimes, it just depends. Like, follow the conversation. Um, so usually I like to come back with, what are your goals? See what they say, and then you want to talk about how, like, based on their goals, how your program can help. So, like, literally right now I'm in the middle of conversations. I put them on hold because I wanted to get this done. And this woman says, yes, I've loved your content. I really want to start focusing on myself. And I said, yeah, me too. Like, my son's about 1, 2, and that's when I felt like this was the right time for me. And she came back with, and I said, what are your specific goals that you want to work with? And she said, I'm a horseback rider and my core and my legs are weak, and that's super important for horseback riding. So then I jump into, I'm doing bar blend right now. My core was super weak, and I found like I'm getting so much more strength because of this program. So if I hadn't asked her about her goals, I wouldn't have known that her goal was to fix her core, and I wouldn't have known how to correctly sell these programs. Because there's so much to these programs, you want to find out what is the most important thing to the person you're talking to. You don't want to tell them about the 20 things that this can do. You want to only talk about, especially at first when you're trying to like hook them into a conversation, about the things that are the most important to them. So getting that conversation going and building that relationship with them is the most important thing. Some key words that I try to throw in is the female community of support, women supporting women. Having women supporting women is something that I have found to be so powerful. Those are the things that I have found people connect with, because having children can be very isolating. And I don't know if you have felt this way, but I certainly have. Especially people who are home more, because I always worked. I was a physical therapist with which is a very female dominated profession. So I always had strong females that I surrounded myself with. And when I decided to stay home with my kids, that changed. All of a sudden, my friends were like me, myself, and I. And I was also in a new state when I moved here, and it was really hard. And a lot of people experience that. All of a sudden, they're friends that don't have kids, or they're friends that have older kids. Like, it's really, really hard. So emphasize it. Like, we all know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So emphasizing that female community, I have found to be, I think people really connect with that. And eventually, I'm sorry. Also, the last line here is to remember that you're not selling them anything. I mean, you are, but you're inviting them to join you. So the words that I always use is, I would love for you to join me in my workouts. I've been loving them, and it's so much more fun with people to do them with. So I always use the words join me, as opposed to, do you want to buy this? Because obviously eventually I'm going to tell them how much it costs, and I'm going to send them the flyer. But when I'm asking them if they're interested, I ask them in a way that I'm inviting them to come with me somewhere. Like, you're inviting a friend, like, do you want to try this with me? This is what I'm doing that I really love. Do you want to try this? And that's how I make this work. Your goal is to reach out to at least 10 people a week from your stories and your posts to start a dialogue. Especially right now, if it's not something you're comfortable with, start with like 10 a week, 2 a day, whatever works for you. But just start that conversation. Like, look at the people who are following your stories and just say, like, I noticed you're seeing my stories. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help, and I love sharing what's working for me. I honestly have been shocked by the people who have signed up with me. Literally, I have had people signing up with me and paying me money to help them who I have never met. Never met them in my life. It started with friends, and that was wonderful, but now I'm literally making connections with people that I've never met before in my life, or that I have had very, like, superficial connections with. Like I've met them a couple of times, friend of a friend. So, and then sometimes it's like my aunt, and sometimes it's my close friends. So just reach out to everyone and anyone, because you never know who's going to say yes. And that's why you start so soft with just like, hey, I noticed you've seen my stories. I'd love to chat with you about your goals and see if I can help you in any way. And it doesn't have to mean that they're buying anything. I'm just chatting with people and saying, yeah, walking is great. That's a great idea. Or, yeah, drinking more water is great. That's giving them value. Um, think about where you were at before you started this journey and how you felt when someone reached out to you and asked you if you wanted help. Did it tick you off, or did you say, oh wow, this is great, she wants to talk to me about this, I'm excited to like change myself a little bit? That's what you're offering people. You're just offering them a way to live a healthier life and feel better about themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if they don't want a part of that, then it's like, okay, great, like I'm still going to be posting my recipes and my workouts, and if you ever have any questions, just let me know. And that's how I end it with people if they say that they're not interested right now. Like, hey, I'm still here, I'm still going to be posting. If you have any questions, let me know. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today with this topic of engaging and inviting. And I just really want to encourage you to just rip the Band-Aid off and get going, because like the first day I started doing this, I probably messaged like 40 people, and I'm not even exaggerating. I went through my stories and I just sent this message to 40 people, and I had the first day I did this, I had 2 people sign with me that day. And again, these were people that I barely knew. They were watching my stories. I reached out to them and they signed up with me and paid me their money the same day. They couldn't sign up with me fast enough. One girl, she didn't even want to hear what I was selling. She's like, yes, I want help. Like, she basically was like, yes, send me your thing. I want to sign up right now. I want to get started. Like, she was so eager. But if I hadn't opened that door, she would have, I don't know that she would have ever messaged me. Because the thing is, some people can be very intimidated by what we're doing. They think like, oh, I don't know if I'm the kind of person they would want to work with. Maybe I'm not going to be successful about this. Maybe they don't like me. Like people who don't necessarily feel great about themselves sometimes can have a really hard time putting themselves out there to other people. So your job is just to start the conversation. So I think I've said start the conversation 5 million times. I think you got the hang of it by now. Comment below this video what your biggest takeaways are. I want you to write down below what your plan is this week. What are you going to do? Are you going to reach out to your stories? Are you going to reach out to your people who've posted you? Do you have a number in mind that you're going to commit to? I'm going to reach out to this many people a day or this many people a week. Write it down. Use your tracker. Again, go back to that tracker. Use it. So when I sit down to start contacting people, I literally have my tracker out. It's right here. I keep it in my binder and I take notes. And I write down what people say, because some people say, you know what, now is not a good time because I'm doing this, this, and this, but I'd really like to talk to you about this like in October. I think October is the time that I'm going to want to do this. So you better believe in October, I'm going to be messaging them. But if I didn't write it down by October, I would forget. Honestly, by tomorrow, I would forget. So write everything down and keep contacting people. These people that have said maybe, keep going into their pages, liking their stuff, starting a conversation, sending them a message. Hey, hope you're having a great week. Did your kids have a great start to school? Just keep that connection. All right, that's all I have for you today. Have a great day. I hope you found this helpful.